Blog Talk Radio.
A denied entry to USA show.
You go retaliate and do towards your friends, it becomes a gang situation. Listen, you know, y'all up against the military, and then y'all become a militarized zone.
All right, listen up. Have you been stopped at the U.S. border?
Trying to keep it going, you know what I'm saying? But whoever bring the noise, you know, to 109th and Figure Road, you know what I'm saying? We got to handle our business. We ain't letting nobody step on our toes. Blood, rips, or whoever. Right here, these all that.
Do you have a criminal record? You know who you are.
Come on, bullet holes, scars. Come on, 19, 20 years in prison. YA, camp, juvenile hall, San Quentin, Spokane, Soledad, Cork, Pelican Bay, Chino, the whole.
Well, this show is definitely for you then.
I think the police out here primarily arrest criminals, irregardless of their hue, criminal allegiance, sex, religion, faith, all that. They are out here to arrest criminals. And gang members tend to fall into the criminal realm. They're criminals. They shoot, kill, pack illegal weapons. They're criminals. So as a consequence of that, they have to have a gang division of the police department. No, but the pigs ain't out just to arrest a certain person. They are anti-criminal. I ain't mad at them. That's their job. Although no, I ain't got nothing against them as far as they being soldiers, taking money out of the bank. If they swatting me on some activity, I gotta get down with them. That's the rule. But I ain't gonna fuck with them for no reason, and they ain't gonna fuck with me. Cause I drive by the rules. I ain't got nothing against 5-0. They push up on me, I'm getting ill. And the motherfuckers know it.
Now, reaching out to you from the beautiful Pacific Northwest, it's Ken and Lisa.
USA show, which of the show is for you and only you and no one else. For all you guys who are denied entry to the USA or find yourself inadmissible, which I suppose is one and the same, this show is for you. And why? Well, this show is there to help you stay out of trouble, to help you, if you are in trouble, oh well, we'll get you cleared. And you guys know my philosophy. If you are not convicted, then I guess you must be innocent. So there's no need for a waiver, yada yada. If you are convicted, then you must be rehabilitated. If you're not convicted, but you admitted to committing the crimes of the element, then you're still rehabilitated. Oh, but I didn't introduce myself. Ken Scott, Senior, U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with USEntryWaiverServices.com, and as you guys are well aware, like we say on YouTube, we resolve all of your USA border crossing issues. So, guys, today we got a guest. I'm going to ring him up here in a moment, and today's topic is going to be, when can I apply for a U.S. entry waiver? Now, I'm going to bring him up here in a moment here, but just to give you guys a bit of background here, you guys got to be aware, these discount waiver companies are going to tell you what you want to hear just to collect your money, and then once they do and you get screwed or bent over the table, then in all honesty, they laugh at you. And the thing is, a lot of these 98% of these places have no clue what they're doing, like Batman's Pardons and Waivers. Well, Batman is great for fighting crime, I suppose, in his tights, along with his sidekick Robin. But regarding resolving border crossing issues, I mean, Batman, great movies, etc., but has the brain of a flea regarding this stuff. And in order to get approved for these waivers, guys, certain criteria must be met. Let me say it again. In order to get approved for these waivers, guys, certain criteria must be met. And that also includes a waiting period. But we're going to touch upon the waiting period in a moment here. Let me me give John a call. His name is John Doe, by the way, guys. Okay. I think it's dialing. It's dialing.
Hello.
Hey, John. How are you? It's Ken Scott. You're live on the air.
Hi. How you doing?
Good, good. Yeah, so the entire world can hear you. And I don't know if you
Great.
heard the intro or not. But, yeah, thanks for coming on board.
No problem. Glad to be here.
So we were just discussing regarding these waivers. The topic of the show is when can I apply for a U.S. entry waiver? And by the way, if anyone wants to call in, the number is 516-418-5410. So I'll say again, 516-418-5410. That's for the people calling in. So we're trying to explain to the people that the question of when can I apply for a U.S. entry waiver, there are certain criteria that must be met, including a waiting period. And you came to the Surrey office, and can you tell us what that was like when you came in?
Well, I first came to see you in Surrey recently in the later part of 2022. It was towards the end of the year. I think it was, I don't remember the exact date, but I believe it was like the last November or October or something like that. And you had explained to me the process of the waiver service that nobody else had mentioned in such a respect that indeed the wait.
Some of the manuals and how they calculate the waiting period, amongst other things. And
right.
You saw it all in black and white, and it made perfect sense to you. And
yeah.
But then you told me the other day you had an experience from 2 discount waiver companies, and what did they do?
Well, when I first got to Canada, and this was in 2019, I contacted the first company, which was National Pardon Center, which was in the Ontario area, and they had a toll-free number. And, you do a Google search, you're trying to find information, you see these, just type in U.S. entry waiver, and some of these companies come up, and this is the first one that came up in the list, ironically enough. So when I contacted them, this was in late 2019, a couple months after I arrived in Canada, they told me right away. I spoke to a gentleman named, can I say his name?
Let's not give him any praise.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just say it was Jeff, a fictitious name. But anyway, it was a real person I talked to by the name of so-called Jeff, and he had to explain to me that, the cost of the waiver service would be $795, just like I mentioned on his website, and he just said, we can, I explained to him my charges, my situation, why I was deported and everything, and he just basically said, well, he says there's a very good chance you can get into the U.S., and I said, well, you can do this now. He says, yeah, there shouldn't be any waiting period, anything like that, and he explained to me what the cost would be, with his service. Plus, he told me I had to pay for the 2 forms that I needed to get into for the waiver, the 212 and the 192. And he told me that I would have to pay those additionally to what his service was going to entail. And I asked him, I said, what does your service entail? He says, well, we do all the legwork, and we file it, and we take all the information. But he didn't ask me for anything specific. He just said we would take care of all the legwork. So very vague in his description of what he was going to do for me. Didn't leave a lot of good taste in my mouth because, it didn't give me a lot of confidence as to what he could provide as opposed to me trying to do this myself. So that was my whole purpose of contacting him and saying, hey, what can you do for me? What can you do to improve my chances? Because I've never done something like this before. So he gave me a lot of fanfare, but not a lot of, factual, concrete evidence he could actually get me the waiver. And he's like, your chances are pretty good because your charges are not that serious, and we can get you a waiver right away, and he said there's a little bit of waiting on the government part. It depends on how long the U.S. government makes you wait to file the paperwork or to get approved for the waiver. But he never told me about any time that I had to wait, even though I explained to him exactly what my charges were. So that was a little bit of a concern to me, and that's why I hesitated. I didn't actually take his service. And then you want me to explain the second incident that occurred with the second company?
Yes, that one was interesting.
Now, the second one I got, which was weird, I contacted this person in 2020. It was the Federal Pardon Waiver Services, and or was it I think it was 2021. I apologize. And they finally got it back to me after a few months later. I'd forgotten about this other one. And this was a lady there. I'm not going to say her real name. Let's just say her name was Gloria. And she explained to me that she was a pardons officer official, and she's done this type of service for years, doing these waiver services. And she told me that, I explained to her my exact same case information I told the other waiver service, and told what the timing was, even the additional things that occurred since then. And she said, "Oh, I've been doing this for years, and your case is not so much far different than what other cases." And I asked her, I said, "Well, have you come across a case like mine before?" And she couldn't give me an exact answer. She just kind of said, "Well, these things aren't, they're unpredictable. The U.S. government's unpredictable, so you never know." And she says, "I can't give you a percentage of what the success rate is, but you certainly don't have to wait." And I said, "Are you sure about that?" And she says, yeah, you certainly don't have to wait like other people told you. And then, of course, I mentioned that I was in touch with you, and that's when she kind of changed her tone a little bit and was apprehensive about talking to me further. But basically insisted that there was no waiting period. That was her bottom line. So I was floored by what she told me. I was really shocked that she would say that. So, and then she kept pushing the amount. She says, "Okay, we can get started with the." Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that she kept pushing the amount. I believe hers was, I don't remember the exact figure, but I think she gave me something around $1,200 for her service, plus the fees I'll have to pay to the U.S. for those waivers, so for those two forms. So basically the same principle as the other guy, but her fee was even higher. And she says, "Oh, I have a lot of years of experience, so this is not a problem." She said, "I'm pretty confident we can get you one, no problem, and you don't have to wait." So.
But none of them went into detail, even on the phone, and like how we did in terms of we showed you what one of the manuals said. I won't even mention the manual name, but what one of the manuals said. The other one you haven't seen yet, so whenever you in Surrey, we can show you the actual other one. And the other one shows the actual breakdown criteria that CBP uses to approve these waivers. But I think we showed you the adjudication sheets that they use regarding what they're looking for. And there was a gentleman on the show, last week, a week before last, and he applied for his waiver using a discount waiver company back. He got screwed, and his offense is from 2016. And he got denied. They said not enough time had passed. And the point I'm getting at is when you previously worked for the system as a federal employee, U.S. federal employee, and if you worked as a law enforcement officer in Washington State or whatever state and law enforcement officer, this gives you the foundation of getting these cases cleared because this stuff's a no-brainer. One of the problems I ran into was when I went from county to federal, the Fed guys had an attitude with me, and part of it was my fault, I admit, because, I don't know if I can even say fault, because my mindset was, you guys don't know what RCW 9A or RCW such means? I said, this is just assault 1, assault 2, assault 3, and I said, assault 1 means first degree, guys, not one assault. And they said I was too cocky with the Feds. My supervisor told me, and I never told you, he said, we got into it, and he said, you know what, you are only allowed to write one report. I think he said, I'm only allowed to write one report a week because we were having too many searches and seizures, and there's more paperwork from him. So, okay, fine. I said, so we're only allowed one report a week. I said, okay, no problem. And when his officials came up from D.C. and came out, and they were asking us if we had everything we needed, I said, well, we would if we had, good leadership. They said, what do you mean? I said, we're only allowed one report a week. He said, who said that? And I just motioned my eyes to my supervisor. They said, oh, really? I said, okay. They said, don't worry, sir. You can write as many reports as you want from here on out. And it's back and forth, right? And that's fine. So he did something else towards me in the end because of my honesty to his supervisors. And long story short, I told him, I said, you know what? Enjoy your life. I'm going back home to Surrey, and all the former guys who used to have criminality, yada, yada, and were in the news because of our background, we're going to get all these people cleared who are now rehabilitated / innocent, get them sorted out proper, and there we go. So then fast forward to now, we're finding that a lot of these discount waiver places, they don't have the proper foundation, it seems, the manuals or the critical thinking skills to facilitate approval of these waiver cases. And my special relative is listening. I hope he calls in because he has, I don't claim to know everything, but he has even more knowledge than me in some of these areas. So hopefully he calls in. He's listening. Hopefully he calls in because I'd love to get his opinion on this. But basically, we like to just get people sorted out proper. There's various criteria that they look for in approving these waivers. You and I discussed this. One of the things, there's certain waiting periods for certain offenses based on certain criteria. So I'm just saying it like that so Batman's pardons and waivers can't reverse engineer this and try to make extra money to keep the lights on. But common sense should dictate to people that if, let's say, Joe Schmo has a conviction for child molestation in, I'll say 2021, common sense should dictate that there's no way on this planet Joe's going to be approved in 2023. He just got convicted December 2021 of molesting little boys. How are they going to show that Joe is rehabilitated after only 1 year? You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no set time, I would imagine, right, with the government, the U.S. government, there's no set time that they set a minimum. It's just common sense more to what you're saying, right?
Yeah, they have certain time periods for certain offenses. Well, actually all offenses, right. But certain things are judged more harshly than others because common sense should say if someone stole a car at 19, now they're 40, but then, like I said, the other gentleman was molesting little boys, which offense is more serious? The molester. So common sense says that the car thief, his case won't be judged as severely as the molester. The molester is going to need more time to show rehabilitation and yada yada and all that stuff tied into it than the gentleman who stole a Camaro in 1980, and this is 2023. A lot of this stuff is like common sense 101, but you'd be amazed at the number of people who don't get that. And you ran into it in a sense that the one bird who said to you, oh, there's no waiting period. I mean, how stupid is that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, and the funny thing is, I'm sorry.
No.
The funny thing is, you look at their website, and ironically, it's only the good reviews you see on there from Google. But when you do a real Google search of these companies, you'll see all the 1 stars and the 2 stars as to people that really had experiences with them, and they'll let you know what their personal experience was, and it's not a good one. So when you see all these 1s and 2s that are bad reviews, that's got to be a warning sign saying, maybe there's something going on with these guys, not to trust them,
Yeah, that, and also you and I can think critically. We're both from Generation X, so now the discount waiver companies can say, oh, I think Ken might be between this age and this age. So, but anyway, so for example, if I take a bowling ball, one of the massive bowling balls, and hold it 7 feet in the air over your foot, I said, hey, take your shoe off. So why? Well, I'm going to drop this bowling ball in your foot. You'll say, well, are you nuts? Are you mental? So don't worry about it. It won't hurt. Or if it breaks, if you get an injury, you can just go out and buy another foot. Buy a bionic foot.
Right.
I think you're smoking the green stuff. But a Gen Z say, really? Oh, okay, well, I can buy a new foot? Yeah. And my buddy next door sells brand new feet. Okay, cool. Let it fly. I'm not joking. not to make the millennials and Zeds feel bad, but we see this stuff daily so much. We just have to shake our heads, and these are the people who get screwed by these companies because they cannot really think critically. They just tap on the phone, but obviously you can count 2 plus 2. So you say, wait a minute, it sounds like BS. But a lot of these people can't. So the point of this episode is to warn these guys to try to at least exercise some kind of common sense. I mean, if it sounds too good to be true, there must be a catch to it. It must not be true.
Right.
Because we even told you in your situation, it's doable. It's challenging. And so we said, look, it's going to be challenging, but it's doable.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that more than anything, that you are a man of a word that goes very far, because you break it down, you tell the complexity of it. Like these other companies, you don't have to tell the common person that's looking for this service what the reality is of in order to get approved, in order to make it happen. You don't have to do all that, but you have a heart. I can tell you actually care about your clients, and you actually want them to succeed. You want them to get that waiver. You want them to be able to re-enter the U.S. lawfully. And I think that's one thing I fully appreciate, because ever since I've been in Canada, every person, every lawyer, not every lawyer, but I mean every waiver service, and some of these attorneys I've talked to that just fly by night, being that I had one in my personal experience in the U.S. that kind of messed up my situation, but I'm not going to go there right now. But, it's when they're not honest with the client, I think they say negative press goes a lot farther than positive. And that's where you got to be careful, because guess what? If you're not fair and truthful to your client, you're going to lose that client, and then you're going to lose a lot more potential, because now you're not being honest in general.
Oh, you know what? It looks like my special guest has, it looks like he's called in. Here I am just sitting back. I just noticed. Let me see if I can add him in here.
All right.
I just noticed. Hello, special guest. I see you called in.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you.
All right. I'm the specialist Ken talked about there. Hey, I got a question for you, John. And needless to say, neither one of those two companies got you approved then, right?
Well, I didn't go with them because the things they said to me, raised a red flag, a warning sign saying, oh, I don't know, because it sounds too good to be true. And, it's that old saying where they say if something sounds too good to be true, then it probably isn't. So. Good man.
Yes. Oh yeah. You use a lot of common sense on that one.
Oh yeah.
Also, with the cheap waiver companies, the problem when people are not approved, now they got to come back to Ken Scott's area there, and now they got to draw even more money to try and get a waiver, as opposed to going with him initially. Because these companies, there's a formula associated with this as far as getting these packets approved and things of that nature. And you have to do your due diligence and following the pattern of the formula. And that's all dependent upon the information, the charges, and things of that nature. So as long as we're consistent in staying true to the formula, we're going to achieve success. But
yes.
These other companies, if they're pushing it through, and some people, they want to say e-safe's faster or something like that, it's simply not true. It's just a tracking systems for the government and trying to keep better tabs on people. The paper trail, now that seems to be the best way of doing business. In the time frame, paper trail, e-system, all the same. If e-system's moving faster, it's probably 9 times out of 10 to produce a disapproval. So it's not any faster or anything. And there's a waiting period associated with every application based upon the offenses and things like that, because you got other things to do in your life. Those people do too. So the packets are probably drawn into a queue, and they move forward and work with them from there.
Right.
I'm also a federal government representative, and I've been a police officer before, as well as a correctional officer. So I'm quite detailed in the laws and regulations and things that they're working with.
Right.
And special guests, can I ask you sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say special guests. A basic question is, these officers, they get an annual performance appraisal, and on your appraisal, you're evaluated on the duties, or how well you perform your duties. If those marks are low, it for lack of better words, it messes up your chances for promotion and other things. So what these people do not, when I say these people crossing over, they don't understand that these officers, they're doing their job. They have to have so many searches, seizures, detentions, etc., because they get evaluated on this stuff. And if those numbers are low, they have issues they have to deal with. So, you know what I mean.
That would be their greatest motivation for tricking you guys up and getting you to commit to a number of violations or something of that nature, so that they can decline you. I mean, it affects their annual raises. It affects any performance, monetary performance rewards they're going to get, all of that. So these folks are detailed in doing their job. And with them being detailed in doing their job, it behooves you to be detailed on top of your job when you're seeking waiver. Answer the questions that's being asked, and only those questions, and maybe not elaborate as to the details of the incident or anything like that. If you're rehabilitated or if you're innocent, you have to contend that, with those folks, and make sure they know, hey, that didn't happen, or that's not the case, or whatever the case may be. We got a lot of folks doing a lot of dumb crimes, and some of these crimes have taken place many, many years ago, in which that's taken into account when they're doing these waiver approvals, and that's also one of the entities as far as if the package is going to be approved or not. So that's a part of the formula. So there will be a waiting period,
So special guests, waiting period amongst other things. Ignore that there. You are well aware that federal statutes, there's state statutes, there's county ordinances, there's case law, there's so many things that go into these packets. And these people, a lot of them are clueless in terms of understanding that. Because we get so many people who say, oh, well, weed's legal in Washington State. Yes, marijuana is legal in Washington State. And yes, in Washington State, the law enforcement authorities there, they're state-based, and they enforce state law, which is fine. Marijuana is still illegal federally as per, federal law. Joe Biden has not legalized it yet. So if Biden's not legalized it yet, if CBP officers are federal officers, what does common sense say to you? Marijuana is illegal federally. So
absolutely correct.
They don't give a flying flamingo what Washington State has said. The feds say you can't do it. Oh, man, it's frustrating.
Well, I would say an individual would have to concentrate on the detailed facts of what exists, and it may be approved in Washington State, but without it being approved on a federal level, is, weed is still a major violation. And you don't get brownie points for going in there boasting about I smoked weed back in the day, whatever the case may be. You don't get brownie points for that at the border. You can't go in there. You can't go in there and showing your butt and acting crazy with these people and just telling them anything, because they're looking forward to the feather in their cap to reject you.
So with the question of when can I apply for a U.S. entry waiver, and we always tell people, so, well, you know what, it just depends on your circumstances. It just depends. It just depends. And they get frustrated. I say, well, it just depends. There's no magic bullet.
If you're looking forward to a waiver, I wouldn't make any travel plans anytime soon, because we're looking at what 6-month lead time and having a packet approved or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a gentleman that called the other day. The gentleman has a sex-related crime that he was charged with, and he's crossing over, and they saw it at CBP. It was downloaded into their database that it was pending. Well, now this offense has been dismissed. So he's like, Ken, what do I do? I said, well, you just opened a can of worms when you crossed over with that thing pending. And I explained to him, I said, look, the way the book says, when you cross over, they're going to see that you had this pending, and they can see it's dismissed. They're going to ask you, well, what happened? I said, that's going to dictate what's going to happen to you next.
Yeah.
I said, because it's in the Immigration Nationality Act that says, if I say just layman terms, whatever relevant convictions you have and whatever you voluntarily admit to. So if you rob the Bank of Montreal in, say, Chilliwack, D.C., you're riding up to Surrey, you get stopped for speeding on Highway 1 by the RCMP, and the officer says to you, well, sir, why are you speeding? You say, well, I just robbed the BMO in Chilliwack, but I'm just trying to get home to hide the money. So the Chilliwack RCMP won't know it's me and won't be able to find it. You're telling it to the Surrey RCMP. He says, okay, no problem. Where's the money? Well, it's in the trunk along with my gun. Okay. Dave, do you mind showing it to us? You get out, you open the trunk. Say, oh, there's the money in that bag. The gun. You don't have to touch it. Can you put your hands behind your back? Well, why? Well, you're under arrest. Well, for what? For bank robbery. But yeah, Chilliwack RCMP, they don't know I committed the robbery. Yes, sir, but you just told me. Well, because you asked me. Yeah, thank you for your cooperation. Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah. and the whole time you're still talking to a legal law enforcement official. That's why it's an issue. And the other guy who had the case pending, he was pushing the envelope way too soon. He should have gotten those issues resolved before he went to travel. So, like I said, don't make a whole bunch of plans and expecting that's going to force feed the system to hurry up and get your packet through, because that's not going to happen. That's not the way the government works, and no one can call them up and say, hey, I'm leaving next week. I'm going to need you guys to hurry up and do your job. That's not going to happen. So don't make plans prior to securing the waiver in hand, and don't have any other little crime pending where there's no determination or anything like that, because they're not going to let that fly either. So to be safe, as a matter of fact, that guy probably ended up getting his waiver taken from him or something.
Well, he hasn't crossed over yet. He's just scared to cross because he's scared what's going to happen, what they're going to ask him. And I just basically said, I said, well, you know what? This is what the book says.
Yeah,
this is what the statute says.
For good reason, too. For good reason. But he's got to get that dissolved before he move forward. He's got to make all that go away.
Unfortunately for him, once it's downloaded into their database, it's there for life. The charge that was pending, even though they know it's dismissed. So they're basically looking at chops waiting for him to cross because he's going to make someone a stat for the day.
But mine is going to get a feather in their cap for that.
Oh, yeah. Yep, someone's going to get a stat. Yeah. And just chatting with the gentleman, I could tell he's skittish. It's not like he hung out in the streets of Surrey and knows how the game is played. He's a guy never really got in much trouble, gated community, grew up, yada. So yep, someone's going to get a stat from this gentleman. Yeah. So like like the two gentlemen here in Surrey who were charged with drug trafficking 3 times and never convicted because they were innocent, all mistaken identity and wrong vehicle, yada yada. So they never need waivers. They don't really elaborate on their offenses, but I guess apparently they have bad memories of it, so they can't recall details to give.
Perfect.
But, each his own. I mean, it is what it is. But, if you're innocent, you're innocent. If you're convicted, you're rehabilitated. So.
One thing I was going to point out is that I thought it was interesting that you told me that, which I kind of found out a little bit in the past. I thought you could do it at the embassy, or wherever you got to do it in Canada where there's a consulate. But the thing about that can be intimidating at the border is that the CDP officer told me that when he told me about those 2 forms to fill out on the e-safe, which even then I thought was a little skeptical. Like he told me the same thing. Oh, you can apply for a waiver whenever, and he says, but you do have to come to the border. You have to come to one of these checkpoints, one of these POEs, point of entries, and you have to get your fingerprints done, which technically means you're entering the U.S. to get these fingerprints done, which, if you're not admissible, that can be a little intimidating. You're like a little apprehensive, like, wait a minute, why do I have to do this? Why can't I do it at the airport, or why can't I do it at the consulate or whatever? But nope, they tell you got to come to the border.
Well, if I can say to that is you're technically at what they call the Federal Inspection Station, the FIS. So when you're at the FIS, and this ties in another topic. When you're at the FIS and you're applying for a waiver, if you tell that officer, if the officer tricks you, it says, hey, would you like to come in? Would you like to come in? You say, well, yeah. Would you like to come in an hour? Yeah, I want to come in. I want to come in. Come in meaning enter USA. Oh, okay, have a seat. You now just screwed yourself because you're inadmissible and you just told him you are seeking entry. But if you're at that Federal Inspection Station doing this and he says to you, hey, do you want to come in? He says, sir, I do not wish to enter. I'm only here to apply and I wish to return to Canada. I do not wish to seek entry whatsoever. Then he can't touch you because you're not seeking entry. You're just there giving your prints or there asking a question. But if he tricks you, you say, yeah, I want to seek entry. Now you just dug a hole for yourself, and it won't be pretty. You just might be wearing wrist bracelets.
Yeah, and it's funny you should mention that because I actually called a CDP officer when I was living in Ontario at the time. And this was an officer that was at the Peace Bridge, one of the Niagara, either the Peace Bridge or the actual main Niagara crossing. And I called that centralized office there in New York, and I asked him, I said, can I come to the border? And because I explained on the situation why I wanted to come to the border. He says, yeah. He says, come on over, we'll interview. And even that, the way he said it, even though I told him I was inadmissible, I was a little skeptical, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like a trap, so I don't know if I want to, because he's like, oh, we need to interview you, and I'm like, nah, I don't know, that doesn't.
No, that would have been a stat for them, John. Yeah. They would have got a stat that day.
Yep, that's a stat.
It's about volume for those guys that's working there at the border.
Yeah.
It's about volume as far as how many non-approvals they can establish and things of that nature. That's what they do. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, they're not there to help you. They're there to make their numbers look good.
Well, I mean, it kind of relates to this. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So they're not going to give you a pass.
Exactly.
They're absolutely not going to give you a pass simply because you didn't know no better.
Right.
Quite honestly, some people don't know what they don't know. That's why you got to call Ken and get a specialty on it. You know.
Yeah.
You got to get a specialist on it. You don't know what you don't know, and those guys, they're not giving you any second chances at their border.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've talked to a lot of people. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, me as a special guest, we previously enforced a lot of these laws in the past, so this stuff's like a no-brainer to us, but it just astounds us that the average person just doesn't grasp basic concepts. I mean, you got the basic concept, and you were never an officer, but you're also Gen X. It's just these other people, like some of a lot of the younger ones, much younger ones, they just don't have a clue with some of this stuff. And there's one guy went down to the border, and this is a true story. He says, I want to see if I'm inadmissible. And he said, well, why do you think you're inadmissible? Well, I used to be a drug dealer in the past, and I just want to find out, do I need a waiver? And he said, really? So they hauled him inside. He was never caught for it, by the way. Never arrested, never charged. He said, so you used to be, he told this to me. He said, well, yeah, I used to be a dealer. He said, oh, well, how much did you make? He said, I made thousands per month. Oh, why haven't you not got caught? He said, because the cops will never catch me. He's telling the border this. He said, what did you sell? Why, a little bit of blows, some green stuff. He says, okay. And he identified him, wrote him up, got his name. He said, you smoke? He said, I every now and then, smoke some, did a rail or two. He said, okay. He said, you're inadmissible. He said, well, why?
He's inadmissible
well, you just
now.
told us you used to be a drug dealer. He says, but I never got arrested for it. He said, well, you just told us. He said, well, yeah, that's why I came here to ask you guys, did I need a waiver? Yes, sir, you need it. He said, oh.
But the element that he's not looking at is you just told this in detail to a law enforcement official.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah.
You just described all your criminality to a law enforcement official at the border.
You just violated your own Miranda rights, essentially.
Yeah, you just messed yourself up. You're inadmissible now. Now you got to go see Ken, or if you want to, if you're trying to cheapen out, you go to one of those other waiver companies, and they're not doing their due diligence. You get disapproved, and you turn around and have to come back and see Ken anyway.
Yep.
So
make things more complicated now.
Right now, exactly, because the ugly stuff has to be undone, and now you got to pretty much start anew with the fresh information.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, one quick second. Let's just take a quick break from one of our sponsors. I mean, 1 second here.
Has this ever happened to you? You live in Canada, and you're stopped at the American border and denied entry, preventing you from traveling to Vegas or anywhere in America for that matter? Maybe they gave you a hard time because you got busted smoking a joint or something a long time ago. How about you U.S. citizens who've been stopped at the Canadian border on your way to Whistler, Vancouver, maybe Toronto? Didn't it just piss you off? Well, especially if the border official gave you a hard time because of some little thing on your record from the distant past. Well, deniedentrytousa.com can help. Denied Entry to USA specializes in resolving border crossing problems. With years of experience, these guys can be your lifesavers. They'll work on your behalf so you can easily go back and forth for vacations, business, pleasure, or just have fun, if you know what I mean. Online at deniedentrytousa.com or give them a call at 888-908-3841. That's 888-908-3841. Get your ass back on the road with deniedentrytousa.com.
Okay, perfect. So, always have to break up, I guess, the timing of these shows, so. So I don't know, fellas. I think, special guest, what message can you give to these younger fellows regarding how to avoid these waivers or stay out of trouble?
Absolutely. Stop committing these dumb crimes. You give it put some thought into it, and stop telling everything you know at the border.
Yeah.
Well, guys, there you have it. Yeah, that audience, there you had it. You heard it from a law enforcement officer. Stop committing these crimes. It's not legal advice whatsoever. It's common sense. Stop committing these crimes. Yeah. Don't get caught for these offenses. If you do get caught, open up your wallet, get you a good lawyer, and walk. I mean, anything beyond that, you're a convict, and you're part of the system. And the system, especially the U.S. system, they are there to make money off you, and they will make money off you.
Oh, yeah.
And quite often, this is a numbers game that leads to revenue. Everybody want to get paid.
Immigration is big business in the U.S.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
A quick story. What happened? When I was at the county, we were on patrol, and we got flagged down by a pedestrian, and he knew me and my trainer. So he says, hey, Ed, that's my trainer's name. Ed, he says, am I wanted? So Ed told me to run the guy's name. So I said, why do you think you're wanted? He said, well, I had a couple of court dates I missed. And sure as shit, he was wanted, in Thurston County. So I said, sir, I got to ask you this question. Why would you ask us if you have a warrant out for your arrest? I have to know. And you know what he said to me? It made perfect sense. He says, you know what? If I'm going to go to jail, I'm going to go to jail in a county where I know the people. I said, that makes perfect sense.
What an answer.
He said, that way I won't get my ass beat, won't get my food taken, because I know everyone in there. He said, plus it's cold out. I said, damn, that makes perfect sense.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, that's an answer I never thought I'd expect to hear.
He want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, I want to get my ass beat.
He want to be at home.
So.
Yeah,
I don't know anyone here, County.
That sounded like that was his summer home.
Well, also winter, but yeah.
The jailhouse is his summer home. His home away from home.
Free cotton, 3 squares a day. That's what they used to say.
Yeah, exactly. And he feels safe. If that's possible.
Yeah, he said he knows most people there. I said, okay, well, your friends are there. It makes perfect sense to me.
He just want to drop in and say hi.
I know that maximum security penitentiary I worked in was vicious, and it would have paid off if he was in there where he knew people, a bunch of friends, and stuff like that. But when you're at that level, everybody's at risk.
Yeah.
And these people, these border offenses, they don't realize that they get arrested and taken down to either the detention center in Tacoma or SeaTac. They don't know anyone there, and you're in there with all the essays. So who knows? If you're not connected, who knows what could happen to you?
Right.
Talk her up.
Yeah.
So these people, they play these games at the border. They don't realize that if you get the wrong officer and they can make it stick, they're going to hook you, and you're going to be sent down there.
Yep.
And then
a lot of times, yeah.
So it's best to go on the correct way at the border, so you know your stuff's going to get processed.
Exactly, and don't go down to the border with blunts behind your ear or roaches in your dashboard, armrest.
Do a shakedown of yourself as well as your vehicle before you go down there, so you're not surprised that somebody left something in your car or anything like that. And I mean it's serious business. We can kind of make a little light of it now because we're not in that situation. But once you're faced with that situation and you're there, again, the ignorance is not accepted as to whatever the shortfall, whatever the crime may be, So you can't have roaches in your ashtray and stuff like that like it don't matter, because it does. That's what they're looking for. If they can't find the big stuff, they're looking for the little stuff.
Yeah. That's why you see on those shows. One
more important thing.
Sorry.
But that's all right. I would say one big thing is these damn cell phones. People, they don't realize that at CBP, they can search your cell phone, whether you're a U.S. citizen, Canadian, or from the moon. They can search that phone. You don't have a choice. And they search the phone, let's say if you're a woman, and they see evidence of massage type work in there, and they ask you, you say, well, yeah, I've done massage, or I do massage, or you're inadmissible. And they would not have known if it was not in your phone, in your text messages, or they see your ads on Leo's list, etc. We get a lot of
they see weed pictures. They see pictures of weed and all that kind of stuff in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm saying,
phone numbers.
Somebody down there and took a couple of pictures of a bundle of weed and stuff like that. You can't have that on your phone. Clean it up, or leave that phone at home and maybe get something you can work with.
Well, special guest, I tell you, we definitely thank you for coming on board. And when we're ready to teach this course, we're going to teach a course. Well, we do it now anyway, but we're going to expand the teaching online at the course. And we'd love to have you as one of the instructors from where you are, because you're not over here. You're on that side of the line. And these people, especially these guys, these young guys, you could really make a positive impact on them, because some of these guys, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what they're thinking or whatever. And they need the strong fellow to tell them, say, look, smarten up. This is how the game is worked.
I would love to do that, and I guess the upside of that is I will not need a waiver to come do it.
You be doing it over in your home in good old Mississippi or wherever you are. So
I
know you're not in Mississippi. I was just joking, but yeah.
Right. Not Mississippi.
Yeah.
John, it was great speaking with you, John.
Yes, thank you. It was nice speaking with you as well. Thank you guys for being very informative.
Yep. All right, fellas. All right. Special guests, we'll just chat later, hey?
Okay. I'm out.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he's going now. So, all right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Go ahead.
I was going to say one more thing for people who don't take it seriously at the border is that the U.S. DHS and ICE, they don't care where they put you. People think, it's just a detention center. No, it's not necessarily a detention center. You could be just put in a county jail with all the hardened criminals that are awaiting murder charges or whatever. It's serious stuff. The government doesn't care where they put you. When they take you in for, misrepresentation of the border or whatever they're doing, that they can stick you in these places and you won't realize it until later just how serious of a situation you're in, so that's why what you were saying about be careful what you say, it is a very good reason for that, and that's one of them.
Yeah, because if you get put in one of those places, and if you're the wrong skin color, and they see you, and they say, that guy, he looks like a rat, he looks like a narc, or he looks like a snitch, even though you're not, and you got other problems from the essays. Yeah,
you open a whole can of worms. And it's serious business at the immigration. It's not like it used to be where they just You know, back in the day, they used to just wave you through with a driver's license. No, not anymore. Not since 9/11.
No. So so hopefully the message got out to these people here that these waivers are nothing to for lack of better words, to fuck around with. This stuff is serious business, especially.
Yep.
Yeah, if you got a complex, because that's complex or serious case, because we focus on the complex/serious stuff. The car thieves, those cases we don't even take as much now because we don't have the time for it. So we just stick with the serious stuff. So the serious stuff, the complex stuff, it costs money to go through. You just cannot slap it together, and that's why they go to see Batman and Batman slaps it together, and you got a serious offense, you're going to get denied. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a lot of money to consider, because you're using Canadian funds to turn into American funds, and you know about the exchange rate. And so you want to make sure you do it right. It's not just the principle and giving yourself a worse record situation. It's also the cost involved. Some people are on a budget, and they don't have that kind of Batman money or whatever I don't want to say what other kind of money, and that's the thing. Like you want to make sure you do it right the first time, because that's a lot of money even the first time, because then you got to get more waivers if you don't get a lifetime waiver. So you always have to put it back into the system and always have to pay the U.S. government, because like you were saying earlier, the other gentleman, they're looking to make money off you, and that's what they're doing exactly. So it's part of the whole immigration system.
And that's why it won't apply to you, but that's why, well, who knows, it may or may not be applicable to you, but that's why we try to get people the lifetime clearance if they qualify. And apparently we're the only Canadian entity that has the knowledge to do it. So we would get the people the lifetime clearance if possible. If not, then they have to get a waiver. But they don't understand that the waiver, if you have to have a waiver for like certain criminality, that waiver you have to do for the rest of your life. I've had people say to me, "What does that mean?" And I said, "It means you expire." What does that mean? I said, "It means you leave Earth." I said, "What does that mean?" It means you become deceased. They said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, yeah. What did you expect? You told the border. You did rails."
Yeah.
You voluntarily told them.
Giving out too much information. Yeah.
Yeah, you told them you did coke. You told them you used to sell bricks. You got to do this until you're 99 or 100 years old.
Yeah,
and
people don't learn because you watch. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. They also don't realize also that the government fee that goes along with this. So right now, the government fee for the criminality is $585 US, but Trump tried to raise it to $1,400, and he almost did it. It almost went up to $1,400 by one day. But the government fee for these waivers is going to go up. 100% chance is going to go up over the years. So, and then people applying for green card. Yeah, that stuff's factored in and said they were. So anyway, bottom line, what I'm trying to say is, to sum it up, is these discount waiver companies who don't know what they're doing, who slap stuff together, and if you didn't need a waiver, you get one. Then you get married and try to get a green card, and they say, "Oh, wait a minute, you got this waiver now." And then you got other issues where you may need a 601 hardship waiver, and you got other issues on top of that. Other issues. You really got to keep your shit together. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it is, the more crimes that you do and the more stuff you make mistakes on like that, and should be obvious mistakes to avoid, the more you're going to pay for it later to try to fix it. Because it's all it's all a numbers game, with the money.
Yeah. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to ask you was when you saw me in Surrey, British Columbia.
Yes.
There's one mellow fellow who was jealous of us because of our 7 locations around the world, including one in London, England. But anyway, he keeps telling, he doesn't do it anymore, but he's telling people that I'm in England right now. I'm in England. So when you came to the office, you did not realize you came to England. You were not in Canada.
Yeah, luckily I had my passport in order. No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually live not even an hour away from your office. And when you told me you were local in Surrey, I came out there and I knew from what you were telling me that you were in Surrey, because otherwise, why would you send me to an office if it was a bogus situation? So I came out there, and the weather wasn't the greatest that day, but I knew I had full confidence that I knew you weren't BSing, and I knew your office was there. So I knew right away when I saw you. I said, okay, this man means business, so he's legitimate.
Yeah, and we charged you. How much did we charge you? How much did you pay?
Well, you gave me a free consultation for that period. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is you paid us $0, and we told you hold onto your money until until you're qualified to do this. We said, I don't really want a penny from you.
Yeah, you had the books and you had the paperwork and you had like you were saying. So that's where I fully appreciate when I came into that office. I was blown away by how much you told me that no one has ever divulged in the past for whatever reason. Maybe it was for their own personal financial gain or whatever, but you broke it all down and it made perfect sense after you explained it. So that's where I fully appreciated that, and I've kept in contact with you since then. So.
Well, I totally appreciate the confidence you gave in us, and we'll sort you out quite proper here in the next in the next certain time frame that we discussed, and you'll be back in USA. In fact, like we discussed previously, you also will be back living there.
Right. Yes, I look forward to that. Hopefully, I can make it happen.
Yep.
Yes. So, everything comes together.
Well, I appreciate you coming on board, and won't hold you up there. So this was a good episode, though, and have a great day, and give us a shout anytime. And next time you're up in Surrey, let us know. We'll have you come back.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you being on your show. So thank you for the opportunity.
No worries. Have a great day.
All right. Have a good day. Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Sorry, this episode was a bit long, but this had to be done to get this out for various reasons. I won't bore you guys too much there. But the point is, the question of when can I apply for U.S. entry waiver, guys, it just really depends on your situation. Just if I just want to wrap things up, so it's all case specific. When can you apply? You can apply whenever you want. You can apply tomorrow. If you get denied, more than likely. So the question of when can I apply for a U.S. entry waiver, it's really best answered on a case-by-case basis in terms of applying for a waiver and being successful in obtaining an approval, if that makes any sense. So you guys can do what you want, but the bottom line is, this stuff, and again, this is more so for the complex, that serious stuff. The guy stole the car at 19, now he's 40. That stuff is fuck all. That's nothing. I'm talking about the really, really heavy, serious stuff, and you guys can just imagine what's considered heavy, fast, serious. So I won't go into detail about that. But anyway, so it was a great episode, and thanks to all of our great guests that came in. So what do I always say when the show's over? I mean, I say so much stuff. So, what I always say is, in the words of my Vulcan colleague, live long and prosper.
Here I stand unbent, gotta represent South Central LA every day, nigga, monthly, yearly. 34 to be exact, niggas fear me. Atomic dog, I'm in your zone, your area. Bull massive pit bull terrier. I'm coming through like the woo dumping chambers. Third life, get it right, nigga, danger. 7 shots to my body, ain't no killing me. Lock and load, double back, I had you feeling me. 40 Glock up on your block, headshot. Chest plate getting blown when the 9 knocks. And in the distance, ain't no resistance. Say your homeboy swear they gonna murder me. Said they heard of me, they think I'm on a murder spree. But when they roll up and Chase try to find me, that's when I'm dumping with the fat Mac 90. From the cradle to the grave, I've been kicking static. I've been around from revolvers to automatic. See, I'm a stand-up, stomp down soldier. much older now from back then when I was thugging in my stars on my black swing. See, I'm a G, nigga, married to the thug shit. Hennessy, OE, Sherm stick. That's how we do it, kicking back.
What up? Join us next time for another episode of the Denied Entry USA show. A show to not only educate you about U.S. entry waivers, but we're also here to help you stay out of trouble. Make your choices in life wisely. Handle your business, or your business will handle you.
Yeah, we right now we gonna give y'all a little something about what happens on an everyday life over here, man. Each and every day it's the same niggas, the same people, the same community, whatever. We don't change.
As I ride, smoking that cot, still stay lit, my eyes are slow, they flaming like fire. I keep them blazing, but I know I get so higher. See, man, it's something that cut with Levi's on creep. Fuck beef, if you got beef, let's handle it in the street. At spring, pancakes, my G's gon' bounce up. Spent 500 on chronic.